Hi friends, this is Zinni and welcome back to my channel Cut the Grave. Today I am back with a recipe which everybody these days is looking for. It's a very easy recipe to make at home. At this time during our lockdown period, we are not getting many of the ingredients or some of the items available easily in the market. So here I am with a recipe of easily baked bread at home. Guys, I have taken a bread flour in this recipe. If you don't have a bread flour, it's okay. You can go ahead with all-purpose flour, but we are looking for more gluten in the bread to make it more soft and moist. That's why I'm using a bread flour here. Next, I'm using sugar. We need sugar for this recipe. Then we need yeast. It's a dry yeast. Then I have salt, and then we need water for this recipe. Almost 1 to 1.5 cup water we will use for this much of flour. So let's get started with the recipe. Here I have taken a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, it's okay. You can go ahead with a wooden spoon and a big bowl or spatula, or you can do it with your hands. I've taken a hook attachment to my stand mixer, and now I am adding my flour, then my salt, and then I'll just give it a whisk to this all. So all the mixture, everything what I have put my dry ingredient into it will be mixed together. So I already mixed all the dry ingredients. Now I'll move on to my yeast. This yeast I've already activated in warm water because I'm not getting instant yeast in the market right at this time. So I'm using a dry yeast activated in warm water. Guys, please remember to activate it in a perfect warm water. Do not use hot water to activate dry yeast because your yeast will die in hot water. So warm water. Here it goes in. Let's just mix all the ingredients together and make it a dough. So now I will mix all the ingredients and make a dough with it. So after mixing it for like 1.5 minutes, my dough is like this. It's very soft because when we are making bread, we will not make the dough very tight. Otherwise, the bread will not come very soft and moist from inside. So always use very like lot of water or milk, whatever you're using in your breads. We basically looking for soft and stretchy dough. Alright, so I'll beat it for another 5 minutes and I'll show you after 5 minutes how it looks. Guys, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention about the butter in the recipe. After kneading it for 5 minutes, we'll slowly add in butter. So we need 3 tablespoons of butter in this recipe, and we'll be adding the butter gradually, one by like 1 tablespoon at a time. Mix it together, then another tablespoon, then mix it nicely, well blended, then another 1 tablespoon and mix it. I'll show you after mixing all the butter how the dough will look like. Guys, there is a small note here, like when you'll add your butter in it, you might find like the dough is again sticking to the edges of your bowl, but that is totally fine because later on it will come together. You'll find the dough is curdling. That is also fine, don't worry, because once the butter is totally blended with the dough, it's mixed with the dough would again come back to its own shape. So let's beat it for like 10 to 15 minutes. So now after almost 15 minutes and beating, after adding the butter, the dough looks like this. Guys, this is very soft and stretchy dough. You can see it's like so stretchy. because we have all the gluten activated in the dough. So now we're going to let the dough sit for 45 minutes for our first proofing. We will cover it with a cling wrap and let it sit for almost 45 minutes or so until it's double in size. Here I have cling wrapped my dough like this, and I have greased the edges of the surface of the bowl. Now what I'm gonna do is cover this dough with a cloth and let it sit for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, the first rising, our dough is just double in size and it looks super soft. Now I'm going to take out the dough at the surface tabletop. I've just put a little bit of flour on the tabletop. I'll take out my dough and work with it. I will show you like how we have to fold the dough and then keep it for our second proofing. We just need to pat it and then roll it. Not basically roll it, we have to flat the dough. We don't need to use any rolling pin or anything at this time. We just need to flat it, fold it, and make it into a ball again. So you just fold it like this, one edge like this, then the other edge overlapping it. Just flatten it, or I should say just break all the air bubbles in it basically. Now we'll roll it, tightly roll it into a loaf and then turn it into a ball and just let it sit for the next proofing, another 45 minutes. We have to make sure that the dough is fully tightly packed from all the edges and there is no side open, no cracks at the surface of the dough. We have to be like very plain, smooth kind of ball and very tight and firm kind of ball here at this time. So just keep kneading it. Now shape it into a ball. Just use your palm and the surface, the tabletop, to roll it and make it into a ball. Now the dough will go for the second rising for 45 minutes. We'll repeat the same thing again, the same process again, and then another rising, which will be our third rising for next 45 minutes. So I will see you after 90 minutes and all the 3 proofings. So after 90 minutes and 3 proofings, our dough looks like this. This is already 4 times what I have started with. Now it looks like super soft. If I bang on, deflates. All the air is deflating from the dough. So I will take it out on the surface and on the tabletop and I'll start working with it and I'll show you like how I will roll the dough into a loaf. We have to lightly flour our surface where I'm going to make the loaf. So now I'll take out all the dough on the surface and I'll start rolling it into a flat sheet. Then again I'll fold the edges tightly and make it into a loaf. If you want, you can use a rolling pin, but I like to do it with my hands only. More easy, and the dough is very soft. I am really liking to play with it. We're gonna seal the edges tightly and firmly so we don't have any spaces in between the loaf. Otherwise later on when we'll bake it, we will see some hollows in middle of the bread. Okay, just like this. Seal the edge, roll it, again seal it, roll it. And then we'll seal that, roll it on the surface. We have to keep this in mind that we have to seal it very tightly so it won't open during the baking time. Generally it happens sometime when we don't seal the edges properly and tightly. During the baking we see the bread opens up because the edges are not sealed properly. So you make sure that you seal the edges tightly. Now I'll just put my bread loaf into the loaf pan. I have not greased my loaf pan because I'm using a non-stick one, but if you're using aluminum one, please go ahead and grease it with butter or any spray available or parchment paper or anything available at your place. Now we're going to set this dough for another 45 minutes, which will be the last rising for the dough. And I'll just cling wrap it and then let it sit for next 45 minutes. So here is my dough after 45 minutes. See, it is just doubled in the size and it's fully done. Now we're going to bake it for next 30 minutes in the oven. I preheated my oven to 350, which is 180 C on fan mode. Please make sure not to open your oven door during the baking time because it releases all the air built inside it and it disturbs the temperature of the oven inside, and we end up in flattened breads, cakes or buns or anything. So make sure you don't open the door of your oven. So let's bake it for next 30 minutes and I'll show you the result later. So guys, here is my bread just out of the oven. It smells delicious, heavenly, and it is fully done. I'll show you how to check a bread. Like if you click on the bread, if you tuck on the bread, it gives you a hollow sound. That is the signal that the bread is fully done inside out and we're ready to cut it. Okay, so now let it cool for 1 hour, and after that I'll show you how the slices are and how the bread is from inside. Okay, so it's been 1 hour, the bread is cool. Now I'll just show you, I'll cut a slice of it and I'll show you how it is from inside and how soft it is. See, it's super soft. The bread just we buy from market, from any bakery, any confectioner's shop. And here we are done with the bread recipe today. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to my channel if you like my recipes and hit the bell icon.